Good afternoon and welcome everybody. I'm Teresa Potter, the president of the League of Women Voters of Hillsborough and Pasco counties. And I'm here today with the Hillsborough County PTA and Families for Strong Public Schools to have an Hillsborough County School Board Virtual Candidate Forum series. Today we're going to kick off with District 7. And for just a couple of minutes before we get started, I'm going to give you some important election information. So first, we want to make sure everybody who's eligible to vote knows if they're eligible or not. So the QR code on the screen will let you know if you're registered. We are at this point past the date to register for the August 20th election. The deadline was July 22nd. But if you have been registered anywhere in the state of Florida, you're probably registered to vote. You can use this QR code, or you can go to the Supervisor of Elections website that's showing at the bottom of the screen to check your registration. Everyone is eligible to vote on August 20th. It is a primary election, but it is not only a primary election. So no party affiliated voters can also vote on August 20th. They can vote for all of the nonpartisan races, which include school board and judges. So make sure you check that. You can do it online. You can also call the Supervisor of Elections information. And if you need to change an address, you can do that online or by mail. You do not have to change your address by the deadline. So if you're thinking you're not eligible to vote because you used to live somewhere else in Florida and you just moved here, you are eligible to vote. You can change your address at any time, including on election day at your polling place. As long as you're registered somewhere in Florida, you're eligible to vote on August 20th. Also, you have 3 ways to vote. So vote by mail ballots have already gone out to those who were, previously asked for a vote by mail ballot, but it is not past the deadline for that. You have until August 8th to request a vote by mail ballot. So if you know that you're going to have trouble getting to an early voting location or to your polling place on election day, you can go ahead also by online or by mail or by phone. You can call the Supervisor of Elections office. You can request a vote by mail ballot, those 3 ways as well. And once you have that ballot in your hand, you can mail it back. Just make sure you give it plenty of time to get back, because it does need to be in the Supervisor of Elections office by 7 p.m. on August 20th in order to count. If you think it's not going to get back in time because you just filled it out on August 15th, all of our early voting locations will be open from August 5th until August 18th. And you can drop your vote by mail ballot off at any early voting location, and those will be open. You can also vote at any of those locations in person. From August 5th to August 18th, those polling locations will be open from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. during early voting during this primary election. And then, of course, you can also vote on election day, August 20th, and the polls that day will be open from 7 to 7. We are also recommending that people get together to help us get out the vote. We want to make sure that we're out voting for our public schools. School board elections are so important, and also for our judicial offices. Many of those offices are decided on August 20th. So if you don't vote on August 20th, they won't be on your November ballot. Some of them might be if there's a runoff, but some of them might be determined on August 20th. So you want to make sure that you get out to vote for that. Typically, a primary election has a low turnout of voters, and we would prefer that our school board not be elected by 20% of our registered voters. 2 out of 10 of all the people registered typically vote in a primary election, and we'd like to see more of our Hillsborough County voters get out to vote for our school board this year. So we'd like to encourage everybody to organize a voting event the week before school starts, and the week that school starts, early voting will be open. So if you're getting together for any reason, you could organize it as a voting event, and you could go together to an early voting location and vote for school board members, whether it's a back to school open house or a boohoo breakfast or a parent night out or a principal coffee chat. A lot of people also do this if you're not a parent at a school or a lot of people get together with family. I heard somebody recently say that he's been doing this for a long time. He gets all of his kids and grandkids together and has a brunch, and then they all go vote together. And he said this year he's up to 24 family members going with him to vote this year in the primary election. So we'd like to encourage everybody to do that. And we want to make sure that everybody understands why it's so important that we vote for school board, not to just skip over this August 20th election. You'll hear from some of our school board candidates today and in the rest of our series that a lot of the decisions they make impact the students all across our district. They impact our teachers, they impact our community. School board members decide who's hired as our superintendent. They set district and school level policies that include, but are not limited to, book selection and removal processes, curriculum selection processes, budget priorities, including making sure we have new funding sources, boundaries, transportation, and many, many other things. So now we will get to the main event. Turn it over to Amy Marie.
Thank you. Lots of great information. I love that. I wanted to add, please make sure if you have college students, get their, make sure that they have their mail-in vote. I know I have my daughter's is sitting right next to me. This will be her first time voting, so we're excited. Thanks for coming. My name is Amy Marie Granger-Welch. I'm the VP of Advocacy for Hillsborough County Council PTA. Obviously, we are very much interested in making sure that our membership has all the knowledge they need to answer all the questions they may have about the school board members that are running for office right now. So thanks for having us. We will let each candidate, all candidates were invited. Just so we're clear, everybody was invited to this. So thank you, Lynn, and thank you, Johnny, for attending. And I know Jen may pop in, Flabat may pop in. She had a family emergency. So just in case, you know, she will pop in, and we'll work her in if she does. So we'll let each candidate give a 2-minute intro, and then we'll have 2 minutes each for each question. And then we'll alternate who goes first. Does that sound fair? I'll let you guys keep track of that. I think there's 2 of you, or 3, we can do it pretty easily. We'll just start with alphabetical order, if that's okay. Johnny, if you'd like to go first with a 2-minute intro. Teresa is timing.
I thought you guys would want the incumbent to go first.
Well, I didn't know, so
I'll be
I was
respectful
like, let's go
that way.
alphabetical order.
But
Don't
if
offend
you're
anybody.
okay with me going first, I'll go first.
Okay.
So, hi everyone that's on here. I'm Johnny Bush, and I haven't done a Zoom forum yet, so this is a little different. But I am a retired educator, 35 years. I've worked with a lot of people's children here in South Tampa as principal of Robinson and principal of Plant High School. We brought the IB program to accreditation at Robinson, and once we were thriving, doing much better than Plant, they asked me to go downtown to be in professional standards. I went downtown and found that I wasn't really enjoying that, and Mr. Aiken said, hey, we got to cut 9% more people. And I said, I'll volunteer. I'll go back. I could be a principal at elementary, middle, or high school, which I've worked at all before. You know, Mr. Akins asked me if I would go to Plant, and I said no, because I live in the Plant neighborhood. My wife was a Plant parent. My daughters both graduated with me at Plant. But again, we went there nonetheless and had a great time, did some great things there. Again, I have an ESE background. I taught deaf and hard of hearing kids. I came here from the Florida School for the Deaf in St. Augustine back in 1997. I've been in this district ever since then. My logic or my reason, my why for running for school board, not that I have any criticism of what anyone's doing. I feel like I bring a different perspective to the table with all my experience, all my background. I encourage everyone to go to votejohnnybush.com. You will see that I'm a product of public education. I'm a product of generational poverty. And I feel like what I have to bring to the table will help us help our kids. My biggest thing is I want to take care of our students by taking care of those we put in charge of educating them. That's huge for me. And I am done.
Oh, that's it. The timer's up in the right corner.
I see it now.
Guys, yeah, it's very handy. Lynn, you're up.
Yes, Lynn Gray, incumbent, 8 years, senior board member, and I am still smiling when I say, in more ways than one, a senior board member, past chair, 40 years or more as an educator. I come to the board again. I am very, very strong on the financial piece, $4.2 billion budget, 227,000 students. And we have 200 or more staff members, and we have 20,000 staff members and 200 or more schools and career centers included. So a lot of the oversight, takes many years. So I'm much involved. I think Amy mentioned funding sources. I had with Betty Castor, we had gotten the impact fees with Pat Kemp raised in 2019. 2018, I pushed for the referendum because Johnny Bush, your building was caving in, and where our fund balance was very low. I am looking now with Mayor Castor for affordable housing. My prospectus is I taught elementary, middle, high school, department head, homeschool education, Jesuit, it's a private school, as you know, and public school for 29 years. So I've been around the block. I think the big overture is the diversity. I work in every part of this community, this district, and I have either a monthly organizational meeting or I am there trying to uplift the business and the community to support our schools. So, my life is fairly busy, about 70 to 100 miles almost a day. In many cases, big district, I have to tell you, and so, well, you do know that. I was endorsed by the Tampa Bay Times as the clear choice in the school board, and I have a record of getting so much done. Okay, and I have a record of going overtime, so. Yes.
All right. So we'll start with our questions and we'll let Lynn start this out since she went second this first time. So first question, as a liaison between the community and the superintendent, how will you solicit and weigh input from teachers, parents, staff, and students?
Well, on every one of my committees, and that includes African American Task Force, Hillsborough Healthy Schools, Hispanic Forum, Student Online Safety, I have teacher and staff involved, and Van Ayers, our superintendent, has started with me in when I first started, 2016, the Hillsborough Healthy Schools. So I'm very much involved. He was on the committee. I'm very closely aligned with the superintendent and have been even with the former superintendent, because when you're working collegiately and collaboratively, you get things done. And I'm an educator, so I know the firsthand about being a teacher and hardships and the lack of income. And I testified, so to speak, on the dais the other day, the need for the millage and the need for that vote we have to go through legal means, but the need for the BOCC to get that back on the ballot. So inherently, I believe that our teachers are the building blocks of a successful school, and our superintendent leads those various deputy superintendents. They're called regional superintendents now, but he has to enthusiastically lead them to best decisions. We are looking at a very complex budget upcoming crises. I had that in 2018 when our fund balance went to 3%. We had to take out a loan, a TAN note. Our bond rating went from AAA, went down to a B plus. So all this is to say, again, if you're with the superintendent and you work with them and the board, you can get those downtimes and bring them back up. And I'm not sure if I answered the question. That's enough, right? Thanks.
Do you want me to reread the question or you?
Yes, could you please? Because there was
Yeah.
a lot to your question there.
Yeah, there's a lot. No worries. As a liaison between the community and the superintendent, how will you solicit and weigh input from teachers, parents, staff, and students?
Okay. Well, thank you for that question, and that is a very important question. I do believe in committees. I do believe in committees to get things done. You have to break us up, and we have to address those. In fact, I did serve on a couple of those committees for Ms. Gray as well. Committees are great, but I think committees need to be evaluated on a yearly basis to find out the effectiveness of the committee and be able to say what we're moving in and show proof of what we're moving there. I think surveys are a great way to do things as well if they are done where people aren't fearing the surveys. And one of the things that I bring to this table is I bring the honesty of being in the building. When you're in the building, and I've heard from several, board members, that they have a great relationship with the teachers in the school. There's a fear that people don't want to be honest. People are not going to be honest because there is a culture of fear. Like people won't even donate to my campaign because they don't want their names to be out there. And that's pretty sad. I don't care who you vote for, just as long as you vote. That's very important to me. So when we talk about surveys, we've got to have a survey where people can feel like they can honestly put their words to paper on that survey and nothing comes back to them. Because I am here to tell you, teachers may not tell you that, but if I can bring people there, they may not tell the people that are sitting there that supervise them, but they feel like they can't quite be honest as they want to be honest, especially in their school with their leadership, with the district level leadership. And that's not to say that there's anything bad about that, but we have to create that. I also believe that town halls are very good. We should have town halls. We should have, when that millage did not pass by less than 600 votes before, we should have been right on it right away, having town halls and talking about it. And the biggest thing with getting these things on the ballot and it's getting the support. That's what I'm finding out why Miami-Dade, Broward, Palm Beach, Orlando, Orange, and Duval has them. They get the community behind that, and that's how they push those forward. So we have to have those three things.
All right, second question. Johnny, we'll let you go first on this one. When campaigning.
Say one more time, you're low. You're talking very low.
Okay.
I'm like the principal voice. I'm like yelling.
Oh man, I'm getting in trouble.
I'm not
here.
my voice is just loud anyways.
Okay. All right, I will be louder.
Thank
you. Be forewarned. When campaigning, candidates often indicate their solutions to budgeting and quickly find that when categorical areas and statutory requirements for how state money is spent, they can't do what they thought they could. Given the complexity of school funding in Florida, what are your plans to increase public understanding of the budgeting process and ensure transparency of how resources are allocated?
Wonderful. Well, as we know, most of our budget goes to salaries, and that is one of those hills that I'm going to die on. I really believe people should be paid. We have to pay people. We cannot. It just blows my mind that people around us have a property tax millage, and their teachers are making more money, and we're not doing that for our people. We're like right in the middle, and we don't have this. I truly believe that we need to stay with that 80% or a little bit above that to pay our salaries here. The other part of the budget is what I'm finding out, and what I thought for a while is we have like a lawyer for the board. We need to have like an accountant for the board. Ms. Johnson is doing a great job. She's balancing the budget. I think the budget's being balanced on the back of our students and teachers, but she's balancing the budget. That is what her job is. But we need to have somebody on that board because no one really. I was on the committee that the district had for going over the finance committee, and when I was the HACCP director there, and really I'm listening to everyone, and everyone thinks they understand the budget. No one quite understands the budget. So we need an accountant to be accountable to the board to check and balance Ms. Rose Johnson and what she's doing there, and have the board understand what's going on. They have those in other counties where other people have someone that says, you are the accountant for the board. You tell us what's going on with the budget. So that's one of the things I'd like to do. And that way we can speak more clearly on it. We get more updates on it. But again, keep paying our teachers that salary out of that budget, but make sure that we all have someone in place that helps us understand that budget. Everyone wants to say the issue why we don't want a property tax is that we mismanage money. Well, tell us how Miami-Dade, Broward, Palm Beach, Orange County, and all the surrounding counties are doing it, because no one can tell us. They say, I don't care. I'm like, that's not acceptable.
Lynn, do you want me to reread again or you got
Yeah,
it?
would, thanks.
When campaigning, candidates often indicate their solutions to budgeting and quickly find that with categorical areas and statutory requirements for how state money is spent, they can't do what they thought they could. Given the complexity of school funding in Florida, what are your plans to increase public understanding of the budget process and ensure transparency of how resources are allocated?
Okay, so I just want to take a real quick step back. Johnny Bush, you mentioned the monthly meetings, these diversity meetings that are had don't have results. Well, the Hispanic Forum, I'm just giving you an example. Not only do we have increased dual language classes, but we also have liaisons in the schools to help the parents navigate during the first 2 weeks of school. We also have all communication now is done Spanish and in English. So this forum that we started 4 years ago, has made a lot of progress. Getting back to the budget and it has never, the crying word, two of them, lack of transparency, and the other one is lack of trust. So the CFO, be it Gretchen was last time and Romanier Johnson is this time. How strong, how clear are they making our budget? Not a great job. Not a great job. I just talked to superintendent last night, and I said, finally, you got to have a better articulation from not only from the affective domain, but the nuances of simplifying where we stand per month. We have budget meetings every 2 weeks. It takes a lot of years to understand the budget. There is not a lot of money right now. Well, since I've been on the board, there hasn't been a lot, but right now we gave $88 million for a one-step and a one-time balance to every staff member. I mean, but a one-time bonus. That puts us from a 21% fund balance down. This is the next budget year, 2025 to 26, down to 15% fund balance. Now, why is that important? Because that interest rates, the lower your fund balance, the higher interest rates go in the loans that you have to take. So does that need to be more transparent?
Okay, the timer's up. I don't know why we don't have music now.
Because I used to get back at the other question. Okay.
Sorry. What happened to the sound, Teresa? You muted yourself, so that's probably why it doesn't make.
I switched the music and I think it's working again now.
Okay. Sure. All right. Next question. Hopefully we have the sound. Otherwise, I will gently interrupt you guys. Lynn, you're up first here for this one. What principles will you apply to evaluating recommendations from the superintendent with regard to which programs to reduce in a time of constrained funding?
Any type or any time? Any type of?
In a time of constrained funding.
Right now, what he's looking at are two different minuses, and therefore we all are. Number one, House Bill 1 has minus the FTE, cheeks in the sheets. We've lost, right now it's over $90 million from the prospectus from the legislative branch. So we're going to have probably about 100 million less because of the House Bill 1 has an $8,000 per pupil. A lot of the lure is given to parents to go to other choices, other schools. The superintendent has to be the one to make our schools very competitive. And he's he did the Boston Marathon. He's very competitive, but we have to think much more outside the box. And that's why I liked Superintendent Davis. He was very innovative, very eclectic. Superintendent Van Ayers has to start looking at these schools in much more of a way that really appeals to the community, plural communities that are surrounding that school. I think evaluation is coming soon. Right now we are cheering that we have no F schools and only 8 D schools from 39. But right now, the budget is going to look like it's fractured as we go through our monthly meetings, and it will be up to the superintendent and the CFO to make it crystal clear that we are not in a good place with all of the FTE loss, and then we lost the CIT tax from 25 to 5%, and that's worth 89 million a year. And we also might lose the instructional part from the teachers from the BOCC vote.
Sound
Yeah. 2 minutes is a long time to remember what the question is, but I'm making notes, so I'm going to ask you to repeat that one more time.
No problem. What principles will you apply to evaluating recommendations from the superintendent with regard to which programs to reduce in a time of constrained funding?
Gotcha. Let me circle back real quick, just because I have a shorter answer to that, but in response to Ms. Gray's committees thing, again, I'm not saying that committees are bad. I'm saying committees just need to be evaluated. Because even though the Hispanic committee it's doing some great things, there are other committees under other people that aren't doing great things, and they just need to be evaluated each year is what my point is to that. And again, congratulations to our school district on the school grades. They look very, very good. I'm very impressed with that. Again, I don't have those arguments and battles back and forth. I'm just saying what I see. And going back to that question, what are things that we can look at cutting and how we evaluate these systems that anything that does not directly touch our students needs to be evaluated each year, because everybody has a program to sell. And being an educator 35 years, being a principal, and every year there's a new program for this, a new program for that. These things need to be evaluated. What can we get rid of? What are we spending money on? What can we take care of in-house? Those things are huge for me. If it does not directly touch our students, how do we work with that? How do we evaluate that and say, we can save money right here. We can save money here. We also need to be able to look at what we have inside here. If we're going to put all this on our teachers, then why are we bringing things outside as well? Like the speech and language pathologists and the different people that come in for interpreting services for our deaf kids, people that come in and do psychological services for our kids as well. How are they being utilized, and what, we're spending that kind of money on them. We need to look at programs that do not cost as much, maybe, but taking care of things in-house. But back to the square one, if people do not touch our kids directly and programs do not touch our kids directly and they are costing us money, we need to evaluate that and see if it's worth keeping in. So again, you'll hear a lot of people go, here comes another program, here comes another program. We need to look at those.
Lynn, you're up. Question number 4. Hillsborough County Public Schools anticipates starting the year with approximately 500 teacher vacancies, and teachers' morale is at its lowest point ever. What will you do to ensure the district recruits and retains highly qualified personnel in all positions, and will you consider lowering educator certification standards to fill these positions?
The latter of lowering educational standards to me is not one that I would suggest or recommend. But getting back to what I, as an individual school board member, have been working with Mayor Castor, Darrell Shaw, and looking at converting some of our underused schools for affordable housing. One of the reasons that I'm pushing that is because the differential of the surrounding counties with pay is so it's so high. I mean, with a 30 to 60,000 per year for principals difference, nurses 30,000, teachers 6,000 to 10,000. So what can we do to keep our teachers here and hire them? So throughout the University of Florida and University of Tampa, we have an intern program. Most of you know that. So with these interns, we're going to try to go ahead and have them lock into a 5-year teach in Hillsborough County plan. And in return, we're going to have their housing lowered. And those details, it's going to take me another 4 to 6 months to get that done, but we are working on that for, we've worked on for about 3 months so far. I think also the idea of recruiting and retaining, what can you do for the morale? Well, we did a huge bonus, which we did, because I'm a teacher, so I would have done it anyway, but the board okayed a bonus and a 1-step. Now, I just said that puts us a lower part of our fund balance, which is not, to me, something to cheer about, but those hard decisions, do we keep and retain our teachers and give this and then take a blow with our fund balance? Or do we just go ahead and say no raise, no step? So we did the former. We gave them the raise so much deserved. Thank you.
You want me to read it again, Johnny? I'm happy to.
No, I think I got that one. I think
Okay.
I got that one.
No worries.
First, is it at 500 vacancies or is it higher?
589 vacancies.
And again, no one, there's a different number, is what we're saying. And I think this should be a topic at every board meeting. I think there should be designated time to talk about vacancies, who we've lost, who we brought in, what are we doing to bring more teachers in? And again, the best way, like I understand the housing and all that, but pay people. Because and I don't mean for this to come across the wrong way, but a teacher, the teacher should not be worried about our budget. Because our budget is our budget. The board and the superintendent, they take care of the budget. But teachers should be paid like everyone in their surrounding counties. What teachers see is there are people around us that are getting this and we're not getting this. There are like-sized districts in Florida that are getting paid more and we're not getting paid more. We're the 7th largest school district in America. We are the 3rd largest school district in the state of Florida. And you're telling our teachers the budget. Teachers don't, and people go Miami-Dade, Broward. They're like, I don't care about them. We just care about Hillsborough. We have a budget problem. Okay, but that doesn't speak to our teachers. The budget problem does not speak to our teachers. Lack of pay speaks to our teachers. People making $7,000 to $8,000 around us, all around us. 25 districts in the state of Florida have this, but we can just look at our teachers and go, well, it's a budget problem. Teachers do not, it's not that they don't care, but that's not their concern. All they see is people are getting paid more. I just gave references to 2 teachers went to Gilchrist County, and they live right around the corner, sold their house for $600,000, and they bought a great place up there. I'm giving references to people, and I can't blame them for doing what's best for them.
Thank you. All right. Here we go. School safety. School safety is an increasing concern, both from external threats and from behavioral issues within the classroom. What needs to be done to create a safe environment for students and staff, and which stakeholders should be included in security planning? Johnny, I think you're first.
All right. First and foremost, safety is my top priority. I've run 2 high schools, and I can't even tell you, just in being in schools in Hillsborough County, how many kids we lost. Some of them we lost to, traffic safety incidents. Some of them we lost to, maybe not having a robust conversation and programs about the use of drugs and how drugs affect their lives and things like that. So again, I was very proud at Robinson that there was an article done that said that Robinson's students, 86% of them felt 100% safe at our schools at one time. There's an article at the time, but can't find it. That was a great feeling because when kids feel safe, they're going to get a great education. Mental health is huge. It's very important. When you're in schools every day, you're seeing this every day. You're understanding that kids aren't upset with me, because I'm the hall monitor. And by the way, I'm the hall monitor at Jefferson, and I absolutely love it because kids like me. It's 98% free and reduced lunch, and it's kind of like how I grew up. But kids are happy to sit with you to talk. When you're doing this job, instead of being a principal like I was, I'm able to grab a young man and sit him down and say, why do you feel the need to curse me? That kind of stuff. We could have robust conversations with them. But going back to safety, we have got, until we get to a point to where we can have metal detectors throughout our schools, which I don't think we'll get to. We have to get back to, we've missed this. We're not talking about this anymore. Sit down with your kids, ask your kids if you hear something, say something. Okay, that is the most effective way that we can get things out. I don't know when the last time a board member ran to a gun on campus or a knife on campus or a threat on campus. These things are real. I run to these things because my job is to protect other people's kids. That is my biggest fear, that we could not protect people's children 100%. There is no school in America that's 100% protected. So addressing mental health problems, say something if you hear something.
Lynn, do you want me to reread? Or are you good?
Oh, school safety. No, I think I got this. And by the way, just to share real quick, one of the reasons for our lack of millage excitement and pro is that we have 3 board members that did not really vote for it. So that's part of the problem. Now, school safety, the Stoneman-Douglas Act, Chief Newman is the superstar in Tallahassee. He has led all the districts in school safety measures, school resource officers, monthly drills, unfortunately, because it drives the kids, crazy. I listen to them for the elementary schools, but we work with the city of Tampa and Hillsborough County Sheriff Office. They're on my student online safety. They're on my Hillsborough Healthy Schools. Safety is the #1 priority. If you read the Florida School Board Association book, the safety and welfare of all students. What we have to do is we have to, I had a town hall meeting at Newsom. We wanted to share to the parents a comfort level, don't worry, your child will be fine. We've got those Synergy, you press a button and immediately the doors will be locked and a resource officer will be alerted. And then the Hillsborough County Sheriff Office or the city of Tampa comes immediately. Within less than 30 seconds, they're on there. The schools now are probably the safest. No, I'm not going to say probably. Quote, they are the safest places to be for many reasons, not to mention just the hurricanes. Can we do better? Newsom, real quick. I was going to do town halls on all our safety equipment. Chief Newman said we can do a little bit, but if you tell too much to the public what we have in our schools, then we're kind of letting the bad guys, the nefarious characters, have a better inroad to our safety system. So we have cameras now in the dark hallways. We have the vestibules, so kids are seen as they walk in, and parents, yay.
All right. Moving on. Thank you. I'm going to ask a book access question. So if a parent asks that a book be removed from the library or the classroom, what is the current process for reviewing the book? And are Hillsborough's processes for book reviews effective? Lynn, I think you're first.
I truly believe they are very effective. I combed through that large book about the procedures, but before anything goes to the committee, which is made up of teachers, stakeholders, parents, we have filters. 8th grade has a separate filter for their books. Elementary school have filters. In other words, any books that are deemed to be porn or deemed to be extreme in terms of danger, safety, they're all screened, and the books coming into the libraries already have that filter system. And then when the parent is concerned, they have a process, and it goes right to the committee, which is made up of 25, sometimes even more, parents, teachers, community leaders, and they review the book. And then if they find that book still is deemed to be inappropriate, and we're talking elementary, middle, and high school, then it goes to the principal. And then the principal has another committee with higher, leadership on that committee and parents, and they look at the book in terms of how does it affect their school population, because every school has a different type of population and community. So now if that book still remains, then we have a Department of Education that will take that book, or books plural, they used to, but now Governor DeSantis changed it. They used to have the authority to take the book out, but now we have, if they go through the process, which takes about 3 or 4 months, a parent that is, then it comes to the board. We had 2 books recently that came to the board, and I did make a motion to let those books stay in the library.
Ready to go, Johnny?
I'm ready. So, is our clock running? There we go. Books are one of those things that being a high school principal and talking to our media specialist and just being in 3 different high schools, I like sometimes to just ask, when was that book last checked out, if it were ever checked out? You know what I mean? I like the process in place. Miss Gray did a beautiful job of explaining the process. I do like the process that's in place, and when that process starts being questioned, we have to reevaluate that process and see where we need to tweak things and make this across the board equal for anyone to challenge whatever book they feel they need to challenge. But books are one of those things that when you're a principal in a school, you're an administrator, you're a teacher in a school, you're worried. I don't know that the books are what we're worried about as much as we are this thing right here. This thing right here, you go into a school, open up your AirDrop, and you see what gets loaded onto your phone. I don't know why no one talks about that. This thing right here is far more dangerous than a book. And again, books are beautiful. Books are there. Books are, and reading, I encourage reading at any level. But we're not talking about this thing right here. And parents, you may put whatever things on your phone you might, but being in high schools, for 27 years in this district, you're seeing what this thing can do in a school. That's one of the most disruptive things we have there. So again, the book process is in place. And when it gets to a point that someone has to question it, we need to reevaluate it. Let's do that. I don't have a problem with people challenging a book. What I do have a problem with is when we talk about what's going on in our schools, there's a disconnect. There's a disconnect because if you're not there every day to see it, that disconnect will continue to exist.
All right, next question. All right. How can the school district effectively partner with parents, families, and the community to support student and school success, especially in our underserved communities? Johnny?
Right. So this is a question that's near and dear to me. Again, I'm one of 7 kids. My dad left in 1968. Only 3 of us graduated. My mom did not come to anything. I was a pretty decent football player. My mom, I don't think ever came to a football game. I went to college on a football scholarship. And we grew up in that system where there was that lack of connection to parents and that kind of thing. We have to meet parents where they are. We have to get back to meeting parents where they are. But we have a shortage. We have a shortage of social workers. We have a shortage of mental health workers. Those are the people that reach out to people and make sure they're okay. The ones we have do an amazing job, but they are overworked. They're utilized in areas that are outside of the scope of their job. And we need to get back to allowing these people to maybe have a flex schedule to get in those communities. We need to go to areas where we have these town hall type meetings in some of these areas to invite parents to come in. We need to invite parents to come in to see what's good about their kids and about their communities. So again, if people aren't fortunate enough to have mentors like I had growing up, teachers made that difference. And teachers will get on board with going into the community and talking to people in the community. So I would like to build that connection and identify areas in the different areas where we can have these town meetings or whatever, not to talk about what's bad in our school, but to celebrate what's good in our school, because our kids can't perform. They can't perform. There's a lot of good things. I don't think my mom knew that I was in a novel class and I was like one of the only kids of my color in that class, because my teacher said, your skills are a little higher. I want to put you in this class. I want you to give it a shot. And we have to get back to people telling parents what their kids are capable of, but we have to meet them where they are.
Lynn, you're up.
Okay, just getting back to, I just passed a policy, or we did. I wrote a policy up on no phones during instructional time. So going into student online safety, another monthly meeting, I am very focused on cell phones, and actually Amy Marie knows that quite clearly. Now, when we talk about what we're doing, see what we're doing now, we have CEOs in our schools, and I work very closely with the Tampa Bay Chamber of Commerce. Every one of my committees, we have business partnerships, and we have staff, and we have parents. This is huge. Having a parental presence is a number one challenge, and it has been, but we have a very, very good PTA apparatus just about in every school. And Amy Marie, you get a lot of kudos. And we also have, we're expanding FACE, Family and Community Engagement. And each of those, Dr. Felita Lewis, Owen Young, they're in every one of my monthly committees as well. It's very important that we have the inclusionary elements of business, religious, staff, and parents in meetings, because every time you have that phrase, well, communities make the schools and schools make the communities. Well, guess what? If you don't have the community leaders on those committees, I don't care what you call them, you're missing a huge link of relevancy. So we just signed up the Big Brothers and Big Sisters. It's an expensive program, but there again is your role models. And now my initiative is going to be, and I did it in the 80s, 85, 86, 87, peer mentoring. I'm going to start that program, and I'm going to have that curriculum reinstated so we get into the peer-to-peer. And we're actually now looking at a chill room and doing that at Shields Elementary, a pilot program to start that peer-to-peer, and hopefully the whole school. All right, I'm done.
All right. Next question. How do you evaluate the effectiveness of the school district's current programs and services for special education and gifted students? What changes or improvements would you advocate for to better serve our students? I think, Johnny, you did first, right? I'm losing track, guys.
Up to Miss Gray.
Ms. Gray, you're up.
The person who answers last.
I think I'm doing that, but you know, you gotta
You
lose
are.
track. It's okay. You guys can call me out. I'm good.
Well, at any rate, ESE, we just had a workshop revolving around that subject, and the workshop lasted 2.5 hours. Shannon LaPerrance led it. She's an ESE, actually she was a former lawyer, excellent staff member. So evaluating our current process and progress, I can't give it a high one because number one, the area that we're most short of teachers, I know you all know this, is in our ESE department. My suggestion, and I was at Riverview High School, was, and this was about 2 years ago, and now we're doing it, because of the shortage, and it's not getting any better, we need to have, and I'm going to say this carefully because this is it's 504 plans, IEP, it's a very federally appropriation programs, ESE. So the students are now, some of the students, seniors, will be trained just the basics to help the teacher and or hopefully the para, which we don't have enough of, to help those students get into the curriculum, get into the physical motor, challenges. We have a long way to go, but we did hire a new director. She's excellent. And I knew Marion Parks. She was the one for many, many years. And, she did a great job. But right now we're looking at a very huge shortage. So what do? Instead of complaining about it, you have to find a solution. And now we're trying our best to train the trainer to fill that void. There is a lot that we have to do with our secretaries and our teachers to teach them the importance of inclusionary behavior, but also how to do a 504. And I know at Jesuit, we didn't pay attention too much. School systems are being very much targeted on that. following the law. Thanks.
And I want to jump in just for a second to share with our audience some of the terminology. I had a son who had an IEP. So for people who aren't familiar with it,
Oh, yeah.
IEP is stands for Individual Education Plan, and a 50
Individualized education plan.
and a 504 plan and an IEP are both paperwork that help a student that is because ESE is exceptional student education. So a student that falls under the exceptional student education ESE program has paperwork that defines how they're going to be assisted with additional help in the classroom and throughout the school. That helps.
Thank you.
All right.
It does help.
Huh. Are we ready? I'm waiting for it. There we go. Okay. My world has been surrounded by ESE. I started working at a camp for blind kids in 1980 in Lake Wales, Florida. I met my wife at the same camp for blind kids in Lake Wales, Florida. I was coming home from New Jersey after not doing very well at a football tryout and said, I'm done. I need a job. I stopped by the Florida School for the Deaf and Blinds because my kids were there. That's where they go to school, but they met me at summer camp in Lake Wales. I'm there. Next thing you know, I'm asked to teach deaf kids, which I knew A, B, C, D, E, F, that kind of thing. So I went on to get a master's in deaf education. And at the Florida School for the Deaf, I wrote a ton of IEPs, individualized education plans. And basically, that is what helps our kids with disabilities be successful. If we cannot accommodate the IEPs and the outlines that they have to help them be successful, then our kids are going to struggle in the ESE world. I come to Brandon High, I'm teaching deaf kids, and the IEPs I'm doing more IEPs and paperwork than I am teaching. So therefore, I decided to go get my ed leadership degree and go into ed leadership. We used to have where it was fused teaching. We used to have co-teaching. Now we're down to consulting, where you go into a classroom, there are 10, 11 kids in there with an IEP, and they get services like 5, 10 minutes a day or what have you. And that's just not effective. We have to address the accommodations of our students with IEPs or they will not be successful. How do you fix this? Pay people. Pay people. Find a way to pay people, because I promise you, ESE people do more work with the IEPs and they do the same thing teaching as other teachers do. I'm not saying that other teachers don't work as much, but they teach and do paperwork. Okay, so that's a lie. We have to address that.
All right. We are out of time. We're gonna let Teresa close us out real quick.
Do we get closing comments? I have closing comments written here.
You're muted, Teresa.
You're good.
We're running out of minutes, so we'll give you each 45 seconds for closing comments.
Works for me.
Go.
Do you want me to go, or do you want me to, I went first on the last, or I can go. I can go. Again, folks, I'm running for this position not because I feel that I'm attacking anyone downtown, but I need to bring that different perspective. Okay, and a lot of things we talked about, here, and no slight to anyone. If people have been there for the last 4 or 8 years or what have you, and you're answering these questions that we were answering now, why not give someone else a shot at it? That's one of my big things there. As far as, we're at a disadvantage of doing things here. My learning curve, if I'm on the school board, is not going to be that steep. I honestly feel that. I honestly feel that I have such a vast knowledge of what's going on in our district. And again, do I have the perfect answer to everything? I do not have the perfect answer, but I have a different approach to what we're doing here. And supporting teachers and making those in front of our kids, number one, is important. Eat our teachers or they'll eat our students.
Okay. Oh, 45 seconds. All right. I have experience in communities throughout this entire district, and that takes many years. And I even have a mayor putting out my signs in the ground in Plant City. And I have a mayor in Temple Terrace who has endorsed me. And I have a mayor in the city of Tampa. So, those relationships take many years. Having committees in different parts of this district give you a huge advantage when you go through agenda items, which again, a half a ream of paper every 2 weeks. You have to know what the needs of the community, the needs of the students, the needs of the business partners, the needs of the religious leaders. You have to understand that before you press your button to vote. So vote Lynn Gray. See, vote Lynn. Yeah, vote. See, Lynn. Vote, it's just votelynngray.com. It's my website. Thank you.
Okay,
JohnnyBush.com.
I'm not going to time myself. I'm out of time. I don't have a lot of time anyway. So thank you to our candidates who are here today. We really appreciate you joining us and sharing all of this information with the voters. We want to remind voters to get out and vote for public schools on August 20th. Please check your registration and request a vote by mail ballot. Organize a voting event. Don't forget that early voting is open from August 5th to August 18th from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and Election Day is August 20th from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. You can also get more candidate information at vote411.org. That's a website provided by the League of Women Voters. It is nonpartisan. The information that is in there comes directly from the candidates. We do not touch it. There's information in there for all elections, including August 20th. So the candidates that are here today and many other school board candidates have submitted answers to questions on the Vote 411 site. You simply put in your address and it shows you what's on your ballot and gives you information on the candidates. And lastly, we want to let you know that we will be covering the other districts in our Hillsborough County School Board Virtual Candidate Forum series. So please join us on August 1st for District 1, August 5th for District 3, and August 15th for District 5. Thank you so much for coming today.
Teresa, will we have to register for the 1st, 5th, and 15th?
It's actually a really good question. If you register for one, you register for all. So
Okay.
Anybody, once you register, you'll automatically get a reminder for all of the other ones that are upcoming. So please register. There's information at that QR code and we'll continue to put out information. There's also information on the league website.
Perfect.
Thank you.